this morning we continue with the second study on the Satipatthana Sutta. For those who have just joined us, there are two Satipatthana Suttas. The better known one, the one that we use for meditation, is simply called Satipatthana Sutta. This is probably the older sutta. The rule is quite simple. If there are two suttas, one long, one is short, and they teach the same thing, it's very likely the shorter one is older rather than a longer one. Because the tendency is over time, some monks or scholars or teachers might add something to it or might even revise it. But it is unlikely no wise teacher would shorten a sutta, right? So normally the shorter one is the more, more instructive one. And this is quite easy to know, because if you look at the Digha Nikaya, which contains the other sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, D22, and the short one, Majjhima Nikaya, has the Satipatthana Sutta, M10. The Digha Nikaya contains very long suttas, but some of the Majjhima Sutta are also very long. But the Digha Nikaya has got a special characteristic. The idea is to present an overarching view of a certain teaching, a certain idea, or quality of the Buddha, and so on. The Digha Nikaya's idea is to impress the public, to attract people to the Dharma. That's the purpose of Digha Nikaya. At least one scholar has done a PhD studying why these different suttas are called long, middle length, and then the connected sayings, and then the numerical sayings. So this the Satipatthana Sutta is very long. In fact, it's identical to the Satipatthana Sutta, but it's got the last section which talks in detail about the Four Noble Truths. And this last section actually forms its own sutta, called the Satcha Vibhanga Sutta, that discusses on the analysis of the truths. So, in other words, if you really want to meditate, you don't need such a long sutta, because too much analysis, too much intellectual discussion will not help in meditation. At times like this, intellectual discussion are useful. So there's a time for intellectual learning. This is the first level of learning. It is called knowledge through listening. Third-hand knowledge, maybe even fourth-hand knowledge. For example, I got the suttas on the Buddha and you get it from me. Right? So it is important, but this is how we transmit the teaching. And then second level is you reflect on your own. So you study the Satipatthana Sutta, you meditate. Satipatthana is about meditation. It's about setting your mind onto some level of concentration or stillness, samadhi. And then realizing wisdom, right? So this is the second level of learning. The learning through thinking. Right? The first one is called Sutta Maya Panina. Okay, I might as well just write the words for you. So sutta, S-U-T-A, sutta means what is heard, because in Buddha's time, listening is a very important way of learning. You don't have notes, you don't have books. Sacred things are not written down for the simple reason that you have to go to the teacher face to face to maintain authenticity and quality. The problem today is not that people do not know Buddhism. There is an overflow of information on Buddhism, so anyone can talk about Buddhism. You even have Google meditation nowadays, you know. So where it will bring us, of course, It is something interesting to study. Ultimately, of course, you have to think for yourself. So it's the second level of learning, Cinta Maya Panya, or philosophical knowledge, if you like. So the first kind is academic knowledge, popular knowledge. Second level is philosophical knowledge, you think for yourself. Third level is what we're talking about today, Bhavana Maya Panya. Bhavana means cultivation. That's the ancient Buddhist word for meditation. Cultivation. Because when we meditate, we cultivate certain qualities, good qualities which are already in us, and then build up new qualities which are not yet in us. So this Bhavana Maya Panya is something which is new, if you like. We have a new vision of reality. We let go of the old qualities, if you like. So when we look at the Satipatthana Sutta, you have this very clear instructions. But even then, some scholars, some monk scholars think that Satipatthana Sutta itself has been lengthened. The original sutta is still even shorter still. If you're interested in looking at this, you can look at section 4 here. Section 4, page 142, Satipatthana Mula, right? Or I call it Mula Satipatthana. So there are two versions. One is Bhajan Sujato, and then I simplify it further. It's called Mula Satipatthana. So there's a theory that even an older version is shorter still. This is possible. So you find the suttas, in other words, they're growing all the time. And then you find the Mahayana suttas are very long. Okay? So long that we rarely hear them or we rarely dare to teach them even. And once you hear them, you say, wow, and in a sense, it's very hard to practice. So the Buddha, in his great wisdom, gives us very short suttas. So we have a very easy starting point in our practice. The Satipatthana Sutta is complete in itself in terms of learning to build your mental focus. This is what Satipatthana means. That's the word on the left here, on the whiteboard. Satipatthana. Of course, there is a commentary definition, Sati plus Patthana, conditionality. But the more likely, if you look at even the Sanskrit version is Smrityu Pastana. So Smriti is Sati in Sanskrit, Upastana, to establish, to set upon. So it's more likely that the proper Pali, the resolution of the compound, as we say in grammar, in other words, to break up the words properly, Sati plus Upatthana. So when you join up, the U is elided. In other words, the U, you cancel it, just put, here I put an apostrophe for you. So that, because apostrophe is an English convention, in Pali you don't use that. But the scholar should know, in other words. So Sati, mindfulness, Upatthana, establishing, laying the groundwork, okay, stabilizing. You see the word Thana is close to the Malay word. The Malay word Thana comes from the same word, ground. Tana in Malay. And then you have the word Istana, palace, a place, a stable place. In Sanskrit it's Stana. The Malay words have a habit of adding an I or U in front. Okay? So Stana also means place, placing, placement. And then you have in English the word stable. Okay, stable. So Sthana is a sense of stable. So you keep your mind stable. These are 4 focuses of mental stability, if you like. How? By watching the body. Okay, I'm going to diagram on the right. Watching the body, Kaya Nupassana. Watching feelings, Vedana Nupassana. Watching the mind, Chitta Nupassana. And then watching dharmas, which is phenomena of realities. So here we have, number one, it's a very physical kind of thing. You watch the body. And then the feeling, you have this what's called affective awareness in psychology. And then the mind will be cognitive awareness. And then the last one is spiritual awareness. That's another way of looking at these 4 kinds of focuses of mindfulness. Some people translate it as foundational mindfulness, if you like. So That's what more or less we covered last week. Yeah? So then towards the end we did a bit of anupassana, because you see this triangle here, these are the 4 focuses of mindfulness, sometimes called 4 stations of mindfulness. The first one translates as body-based meditation. Body-based meditation. In Pali, kaya anupassana. Kaya anupassana. Okay? Kaya means body. Anupassana, that's the word there, we analyze it. Anu here means following, or you do something repetitively, again and again. Anu. Pasana comes from the word pas or darsh in Sanskrit, to see. There's also a Sanskrit word, anudarshan. Okay? So, but here see is not with these eyes. This is to see with the eyes closed. Very interesting, huh? In meditation, close your eyes and see more. Okay, in meditation. So, anupassana is to see with your inner mind, see with your mind, again and again. Again and again means you're training in mindfulness. Again and again, you put your mind there, on the body. Why again and again? Because the mind keeps running away. The mind keeps distracted. Distracted through what? Because of what? The mind is distracted through the 6 senses. Basically the 5 senses, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Right? How is that? We see something, we think about it. We hear something, our mind goes there, and so on. And then thoughts also arise. So these are the 6 ways we can get distracted in meditation. Right? Now, here we're not saying that we should stop doing all these things are bad. Well, there's a place for all this. Like now, when I'm talking to you, you're listening to me, you have to communicate with people, that's fine, daily life. We use our senses with mindfulness. But there are times when we just want to be at peace with ourselves. If not, we feel very stressful because of the workings of the 6 senses. So occasionally we just want to let go. And remember, I often say that a very wonderful way of looking at meditation is as renunciation. Nekama. Renunciation. A lot of people like to think renunciation as a ritualized view of renunciation. Renunciation means you shave off your hair, wear robes, live a certain lifestyle as a monk or a nun. That's called conventional renunciation, which is definitely good because it's a way of life to expedite, to speed up meditation so that enlightenment or awakening will come in this life. So, what about lay people? We also can practice renunciation. And that is through meditation. Because the moment you sit down, you are renouncing something. You are renouncing worldliness. Even coming here for Sutta class, you have to renounce your time. You could be doing something else, elsewhere. Something more fun, inverted commas, than this. But here you are, listening to the Satipatthana Sutta, or maybe meditating. Right? So, you have renounced something. You renounce the world. But when you go into meditation, first you shut your eyes, you sit quietly, you don't move, you let go of sounds, all your 5 senses you let go. That is renunciation of the body. Then the next thing, second one is feelings. Vedana nupassana. Vedana means feeling. Here feeling is not just, I touch something, I feel something. It's more than that. Right? We also have to forget the meanings in literature, in science. For a while, just forget about it. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand what the Buddha is trying to say here. Take the meaning of Vedana, feeling, in the Buddhist context. In other words, you ask yourself, what does the sutta mean by feelings? Find out that. So don't confuse it, don't cloud it by bringing in what are called alien categories. Then you will confuse the understanding. You're not understanding the sutta, you're understanding what some foreign scholars in the West is trying to say. That is something else, there's a place for that. So Vedana is actually experience. Okay? But experience in early Buddhism is not just the mind, there is feeling. Meaning you like it, you don't like it, or you ignore it. 3 kinds of feelings. Right? So we watch these 3 kinds of feelings. This is you set up your mindfulness to watching feelings. We will talk about this a little bit more later on. So this, in other words, in the second anupassana, second observation, we renounce feelings. Why do we need to renounce feelings? Because feelings demand our attention. We see something nice. How we define nice? Because in the past, we have observed this experience as very nice. So when we see similar stimulus, similar event in front of us, from which we recall the past, we say, oh yes, nice. On the other hand, if someone has hurt you in the past, or you don't like this someone in the past, and then you see someone here in the present who looks at this person, you might have a tendency to say, oh, I don't like this guy. Why? Because he reminds me of someone who hurt me. Of course, that's not very wise, but that's what usually happens. We tend to look at the stimulus and react. It's a reactive kind of situation, which is, we're not in control, in fact. On the other hand, if you understand it's just a thought, and it's impermanent, then you overcome it. You let go of it by reflecting on impermanence. It's all impermanent. Or if you like, you can say it's all constructed, mentally constructed. This word will become meaningful if you regularly listen to Dhamma talk. Mentally constructed, mind-made. It becomes more and more meaningful as you progress in your listening to the Dhamma. Now, the third kind of feeling is where you cannot relate it to any experience in the past. You have not experienced it in the past at all, so you don't know what it is, so you ignore it. This especially happens in meditation, People who try their own meditation without instructions, without a teacher, maybe they follow a book, and then they sit, they feel calm, they get the benefits of it, but they do not know what it is. Especially when they feel very peaceful, the breath seems to stop. It's so peaceful, suddenly they got scared, we can be terrified by this kind of peace because, number one, we have not experienced it before. Number two, our breath seems to stop. So people actually have told me, I suddenly stopped my meditation because I thought I'm going to suffocate because my breathing has stopped. But that's the right thing that's happening, But because they're not familiar with past experience, they are not able to understand this actually is a good thing. So good things come to us, we will not know. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Something very interesting here, which this definition you can't find in books. Through meditation you begin to see this. According to Buddhist psychology, if you like, I use this term to talk about the mind training in Buddhism. Knowledge comes from the past. Knowledge is recalling the past. So you know what to do now. Okay? You learn something, you remember it, you apply it. That's knowledge. Like driving a car. You learn it in the past and now you apply it. That's knowledge. Wisdom is knowing what to do right now. You see a situation, then at once you say, okay, this is what I should do. I should be calm. Or I should say something to help this person. So wisdom is that very interactive, very engaged, very compassionate, very wholesome kind of interaction right now. It has good results. Wisdom always brings good results. Maybe not immediately, but in due course. Knowledge kind of depends. It can be good, it can be bad. Right? So here is where if we do not experience something, this peacefulness of mind in the past, we don't know what it is in this present. But that's the way out. This is where you have a teacher, a spiritual friend, someone who teaches meditation, will tell you, oh, that's okay. This is what you should be feeling. Then your faith arises, your confidence arises. That's why we need faith, sattha. There was a time in the 50s where, Asian Buddhists, Western Buddhists are so influenced by Western ideas. They're trying to push away the influence of Christianity. And Christianity talks about faith. They say, oh, Buddhists do not believe in faith. But unfortunately, they did not study the suttas. The suttas all over talk about faith. But in Buddhism, we talk about faith which is wise. Wise faith. Avijja pasada, wise faith. The other faith is simply through knowing. See, you read a book and then you say, okay, I understand, so I faith in this. Or a high authority demands this belief, faith. That's called a cognitive kind of faith, where you are told to do something, where you believe in a book. The other is affective faith. Affective faith, feeling. You feel something joyful, like in meditation. You listen to the Dharma. There is something very peaceful there. You practice your own daily reflections, and you look around, you see people suffering, and you begin to understand what the Buddha is trying to say. You see suffering around you, and yet you feel peace inside you. Of course, you feel compassion for them. That peace allows you to have compassion, active compassion to help those people. Otherwise, you feel very stressed. You look at all these people, they're suffering. How many of them can I help? And you give up, you know. But no, if you're compassionate, you just do what you can do, because suffering is always there. So this feeling has also to do with joy, right? Which I will talk about another time. Otherwise, I'll go on talking about other things. So we'll stick to this feeling. So this is what they call Vedana observation or contemplation of feelings. You watch these feelings, pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, neutral feeling. So what do we do with these feelings when they arise? Whatever feelings these are, the common tip you must remember is to regard them all as being impermanent. That's one way. Now, of course, in Satipatthana, when you're doing Satipatthana, you just watch Satipatthana without saying anything. You watch it until your mind is focused and calm. That's what Satipatthana does. But later on, when you find that you have difficulties like distractions, then you can apply the impermanence aspect of it. Okay, so in other times we like to talk about vipassana. So when you apply this impermanence awareness, we call that aspect vipassana. This is a modern way of talking. In the suttas, we don't have this way of talking. So, in other words, if you do Satipatthana, just observe the feelings. You may observe rising, falling, observe it, and just observe it until your mind becomes more and more focused. That's the aim of vipassana, Satipatthana. Remember the word sati, mindfulness, upatthana. You go on watching one of the four objects of meditation until your mind becomes calm. And you normally go step by step. First, beginning with the body-based meditation, Vipassana. When you feel calm, you go on to the feeling-based meditation, because feelings will arise. Feeling-based meditation. Now, as you watch the feelings, you notice there are thoughts arising. Your mind, focus and focus, you begin to notice them. That is Citta-nupassana. And when your mind becomes even more calm, then dharma-nupassana. Aspects of truth, reality appear to you, impermanence, joy begin to arise, and you watch them. So roughly that's the sequence. Your Satipatthana practice, go through the four levels of Satipatthana, becoming more and more subtle, more and more refined. That's one way. Another way is you can actually apply any of these four as necessary in a beginner. Okay? So another way of understanding what Satipatthana is for is this. Satipatthana is to help the mind have sati, mindfulness, or leading to focus, so that you attain such a deep mental focus, the mind leads to jhana. And this is the way the forest monks think. You go on to jhana, and with jhana, you come out of jhana, you reflect on impermanence, and so on, then you attain awakening. This is one way of looking at things. This is not new at all, because if you look at the Eightfold Path, the last two factors of the Eightfold Path, the last two angas, number 7. What is number 7? Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness are the four Satipatthana. What is right mindfulness? The four Satipatthana. Right mindfulness leads to right concentration. That's number 8. Samadhi. And what is the definition for right samadhi, right concentration? The 4 jhanas. So it's very clear there, see? Of course, some people will say, especially lay people, we can't attain jhana, we're so busy and so difficult for us. So what about people like us? Well, no problem. If you can't attain jhana, it's okay, but you can still meditate. Even with a little bit of focus, a bit of calmness, you will be fine. You may not become non-returners and arahats. You can still attain stream winning and one return. Definitely at the end of this life, if you keep to this path of being aware of impermanence. Let me put this simply. If you can sit here for this lesson right through without running away, you have a good chance of keeping your mind focused somehow. In meditation, you don't have to sit for 1 hour even. Right? Important thing is regularity. Meditation is not a sitting. So it's not right. It's very, very wrong and crude to ask people, how long do you sit in meditation? It's not how long you sit. I mean, you can sit for hours, it's still crazy, you know. Because meditation is not just sitting. Sitting is one kind of meditation. Yeah, it's the main kind, yes. But if you look at the suttas, we're talking about mindfulness. Outside of sitting, you also must be mindful. In the suttas, under the body meditation, there is meditation of the 4 postures: standing, walking, sitting, lying down. There is sampajanya, clear awareness. You're aware of your actions, even in the toilet. So in other words, your meditation is a broad term, living mindfully. Living mindfully. So if I say, okay, I sit for 10 hours a day, and then I get angry, you know, is it okay? Maybe it means the meditation is not working, right? So this is where it's not just sitting, you must practice in your daily life. Of course, we are not perfect, you know, so we must not have the idea, you must be perfect, and it's not necessary. We are evolving, growing. So sometimes we make mistakes. We might even break precepts. That's why the precepts are mentioned there. 5 precepts, they're not called 5 commandments. The 5 precepts are 5 wonderful values in our life. Life, value of life, happiness, freedom, truth, and the mind. So when we break a precept, or we get angry, or we do something negative, if you are mindful, after your meditation, especially during review period, or during a quiet time, which is called patisalana, spend some quiet time, once a day, twice a day, at least once a week, or any time you can. Then you reflect, you say, okay, I did something wrong this time. I got angry, or I broke this precept. Why did I do this? You reflect. You will see there are conditions that brought this breach. No one is to be blamed. Yeah, someone shouted at us, someone scolded us, someone hurt us, fine. But those are just conditions. In Buddhism, we say there's no one cause, no one to be blamed. This is the reflection of anatta, non-self. No one to be blamed. But don't have the habit of saying, oh, it's all karma, you know, and then you don't do anything about it. That's called fatalism. Yes, it is karma, but karma is just one condition. All right? But you have to be careful that you talk in such a way that it's like fate. You know? Then, too bad it's my karma, you know. Then we become just like other religions that believe in God, and they say, oh, you know, this woman has many children, and then she is very poor, she can't afford to raise anymore. Then doctors say, why do you keep having babies? What to do, God gave. The doctor say, no, don't blame God, it's your husband, you know, right? So in Buddhism, we don't say karma, you know, it's karma. No, you can change things. Yes, in a sense, karma brought us to what we are now. We are born humans, wonderful, it's good karma. But right now, when I'm talking to you, I'm creating new good karma. I can choose not to talk. You can choose not to come here. But you choose to do something good. So you have a choice. It's very important. That's what the precepts are about. You have a choice. Yes, no. Precept means say no. You see? Only last week, you know, one of these successful Buddhists is doing a very good job. He asked me, he said, sometimes we have to do social drinking, what do we do? I said, well, there's a range of responses you can give. The most difficult is to say no. But even that's not too difficult, I said. Because I know a few of my students, who are very good Buddhists. He actually told us once in the class, he says, I graduated, he said, no, I got a job already. This interviewer asked me, this job, you have to drink, So I told the interviewer, said this young man, that I'm a Buddhist, I don't drink. So if you want to employ me, please exclude drinking. He had to say that, He told the interviewer. He says, you don't drink. And the interviewer was impressed. So okay, you got a job because this guy is decisive, And he got a job. So, something works. Now, I'm not saying you do this all the time and don't blame me if you don't get a job. But I'm saying this person, he knew that he could take a stand. He was very brave. Wonderful case. Another case is, this person is very wise. He says, I have to drink. These people are all business people, you're not Buddhist and I like to make fun of Buddhists. So I just sip my drink and then the rest I pour away somewhere, or maybe just drink slowly, So in other words, know how to adjust yourself. So sometimes people want you to answer. You say yes or no, and after they blame you. So be very careful how you answer such questions when they come to you. Okay, don't give them direct answers, and then you are responsible for what they do or don't do. You tell them you have a choice. There's a range of action you can do depending on your strength, then the situation, and so on. All right, so that's a bit of wisdom. Okay, so we've talked a bit about Anupassana, just a bit, so we're going to go a little deeper now. So many of these things I talk about already in these books, so I'm giving you new things as I talk today, and if you like, you can refresh yourself by reading the text here. Now let's look at a bit of summary of what I've said. Page 29 at the bottom. This from the Dhammapada. One who abides in contemplating beauty, unrestrained in his sense faculties, immoderate in eating, lazy with deficient energy, truly Mara overthrows him as the wind a weak tree. Okay, so this is a translation by Bhikkhu Sujato. Here, beauty doesn't mean something nice in the artistic sense. It means being attached to something pleasurable. Okay, that's the meaning, being attached. Something is beautiful, you don't have to be attached to it. It is a Buddhist idea of beauty. When you meditate, you feel very nice. It's called a beautiful experience. Let me give you a simple example. Breath meditation. We call it a beautiful breath. When you meditate, you watch your breath becoming more and more calm, peaceful. It's called a beautiful breath. Right? And you say in, out, you watch it as in, out, your breath becomes beautiful. And then slowly you become more and more peaceful. You don't notice the breath anymore. You feel very peaceful. In other words, the breath is no more than, you're only left with beautiful. That beautiful is your samadhi. That beautiful is your focus, or even jhana, even glimpses of jhana. So if the breath stops, there's only beautiful left. That's kind of beautiful, that kind of beauty is fine. Why? Because you watch it, but in a renounced manner. You don't want to grasp it. It's just like you go to a park, you see beautiful flowers. You don't have to pluck them and put in a vase. They are there, beautiful. What you want is that joyful feeling. You look at them, you must observe them. Don't just take photos. Because the reality of the joy and peace is in observing the flowers. Look at them close. Look at them far away. Look at them left, right. Observe, smell them, touch them. And then just observe. And you have this vision of beauty of flowers in your mind. And later on, you feel so happy when you think about this. And you can use that for your loving kindness meditation. A lot of people come to me, very distressed and depressed. And I always ask them one question. Can you remember the happiest moment in your life? And they always say, no happy moment. I said, no such thing. You have forgotten those happy moments. Recall them. Please recall them for your own sanity. So it's there, hidden in our childhood and so. You got to bring them all back. We think only of negative things, right? Remember happy things, right? Because this could help you in your meditation also. And then moderate eating. Moderate eating helps you. You eat too much, you feel sleepy, and then you feel lazy also. Mara is this distraction, trying to stop you from meditating, stop you from coming for sutta class and so on. One who abides contemplating ugliness or impurities, I put the square brackets as alternate translation, impurities. Restrained in his sense faculties, moderate in eating, faithful with roused up energy. Truly Mara does not overthrow him as to mean a rocky mountain. Right? So once you meditate, you become a rocky mountain, unmovable. We are distracted by our attachments. So, anupassana means you watch whatever is before you, and you watch it joyfully. So next time you cannot meditate, let me tell you a very simple secret. Now it's an open secret. Just a smile at your object of meditation. Smile in your heart. Smile at the peace. Smile at the distraction. This is an act of loving kindness. Gentle smiling. And when you do that, you find that in meditation, smiling is a very big act. Because just by smiling, some sense of joy, peace, happiness arises in your mind. Some people think that meditation was very serious, look glum, and very angry. Then you won't be able to focus. You might even lead to breakdowns. There are cases of that. Because all you're doing is seeing this very negative thing in your mind coming back from the past. So smile at the peace, you keep it more steady. Once you are so peaceful, you won't do anything, the mind will take over. You don't have to do anything, just be at peace. But you notice there's a distraction, smile at this distraction. If the distraction is still strong, then you go on to mentally say, let go, let go, let go. Renunciation. Letting go of the distractions. Alright? Now, there is a set of teachings called the spiritual faculties. Right? Now, if you look at 3.6.1, you have effort, wisdom, mindfulness, samadhi. 4 of them are mentioned here. So these 4 efforts is found in what's called the basic Satipatthana formula. Now I want you to turn to the Sutta, section 3. Page 126. Notice here, the Buddha introduces the meditation on the Satipatthana, and then the Buddha says, section 3, what are the 4 Satipatthanas? Here, Bhikshu, among dwells exertive, clearly aware, mindful, observing or watching the body in the body, removing covetousness and displeasure or discontent in regard to the world. Okay? So this is the passage. Now this is what we're going to study. So you can see, you turn back to page 30. Can you see there under 3.6.1? The 2 lines there. Alright. Here Bhikshus among you don't need the actually. Dwells assertive, ardent, clearly aware, mindful, and then 3 dots. Now the 3 dots, the 4 Satipatthana is there. Okay? You take them one by one. Putting away covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. If you like, you can put brackets, section 3. The Sutta section 3. That's where it comes from. Okay? Now we're going to look at this more detail. So there are 4 key words there. Exertive. This is the factor of effort, spiritual faculty of effort. Okay? And then you have clearly aware. Clearly aware, that's wisdom. And then the word mindful, of course, is mindfulness. And then samadhi arises. It's putting away covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. Okay, this one is very important. Let me explain. putting away covetousness and displeasure. Covetousness and displeasure. Two words. They're twin compound. Covetousness is desire. Basically, it's desire on what other people have. Then the opposite, displeasure. So liking, disliking. Now, this is very interesting, very suggestive. In fact, these are the first two mental hindrances. Remember? The first two mental hindrances. The first mental hindrance is sensual desire, which is here mentioned as covetousness. Then ill will, just displeasure. Now here again, a bit of early history of Buddhism is helpful. I talk about the two periods in the Buddha's ministry. The first period are more like the first 10 years, first 20 years at most. Second period, the last 25 years. During the first 10 or 20 years, the Buddha used very simple terms. The Buddha said a short teaching. There are no long suttas. The long suttas are compiled later. These wanderers like Sariputta, Moggallana, the 5 months, so they listened to this short teaching, they got enlightened at once. Because they already trained themselves for many lives. So the teaching was very short those days. So my understanding is that terms like this, covetousness and displeasure, only two, they represent all the 5 mental hindrances. Later on, especially during the second period of the Buddha's ministry, the last 25 years when the Buddha talked to more people, even those who are not enlightened, the Buddha has compassion, teach them so that they can become monks and practice. But in the first period, the monks became enlightened, then only they become monks. In the second period, they become monks so that they can become enlightened. That's the big difference. So the Buddha gave two choices. But first, the Buddha makes sure there is a core of arhats. That's the first 10 years. Then the last 25 years, the Buddha opened the doors to the world, so to speak. And some people, of course, just become monks for fun. Why? Because you get good food, respect, honor, robes. Still, the Buddha didn't mind. But when people complain, when the king complains, the Buddha makes rules to discipline this kind of bad behavior. But generally, you get even more arhats after that, with proper training. So this twin compound, covetousness and displeasure, very short, belongs to a very early period. Then later it became expanded to 5 mental hindrances, so that easier to explain to the crowd. So here, in other words, how does this happen? Look at the line again. Putting away covetousness and displeasure in regard to the world. That means when you're meditating, you neither like nor dislike the world. But how do you neither like nor dislike the world when you meditate? By simply disregarding the world, renouncing the world. Remember, I told you earlier, when you meditate, you're actually renouncing the world. You are actually a monk or a nun. In the beginning of the Satipatthana Sutta, the Buddha says monk. The commentator says the word monk here refers to any meditator, not just a monk. So here, the world refers to your 5 senses, your 6 senses. You let go of the eye by closing it, let go of the ear by not bothering about sounds, smells, don't bother, taste. We go for retreat, we eat very simple food, remember? And then touch. You dress simply, comfortably. So the 5 senses don't trouble you. The mind is something we must work on. So the Buddha says the 6 senses are the world. This is our world. The eye is the world of lights and shapes. Ears, the world of sounds, the world of smells, of tastes, of touches, the world of thoughts. This is our world. Nothing beyond this. Is there anything more than this in our world? This is the world we construct. This is our world. Each of us have our own world in that sense. The Buddha does not deny there is a world out there. Yes, the tables, chairs, buildings is there. But it doesn't concern us. If we are enlightened, it's still the same, no difference. No need to worry about the things outside. What can change us is the world within. That's the meaning here. To let go of the world when you are meditating. Only when you let go of the world, the five senses and the mind, your mind becomes at peace. This is the purpose of Satipatthana, mentioned right at the beginning. So, is this clear enough at this point? After important point, it's good to just pause a moment, to just think about it. If you have any questions, it's time to ask. Any questions? Clear enough? Now, sampajanya. Sometimes there's a pair with sati sampajanya. Sati means mindfulness, sampajanya means you're aware of what's going on around you. Now, let's look at the application of sampajanya in the sutta. Once again, return to the sutta. Page 129. We can even go back a bit to 128, section, the big brackets 2, the 4 postures. Can you see that? 4 postures. So, now here we're talking about body-based meditation. And you can even go earlier, page 127. The first body-based meditation, what is it? Page 127 is the breath meditation. Notice that? Big brackets number 1, mindfulness of the in and out breath. So that's the first body-based meditation. And then, next page, big round brackets number 2, the 4 postures. Okay? I'm going to read this part. Furthermore, a bhikshu's a monk while walking understands I walk, or walking. Or while standing understands I stand. While sitting he understands I sit, or sitting. Or while lying down he understands I lie down, lying down. So in whatever way his body is disposed, that is how he understands it. So this is called the 4 postures. Whether you're standing, walking, sitting or lying down, you watch. Sitting, okay, this is how I sit. You're standing, you watch the movement. So you're focused. Okay? Now, these ideas went to China. And the monks, they did this. And they found that when they do all this, the energy actually increased. And they used it for martial arts. This is how martial arts came into being. But they apply the energy outside. That's martial arts. Meditation, you apply energy within. That's the difference. Okay? And that's another story. We won't go too far into that. So, that's mindfulness of the postures. Then, big round brackets 3, full awareness. Furthermore, bhikshus a monk, while going forward or going backward or stepping back, is clearly aware of or clearly knows what he is doing. So very mindful. Right? Here again, the Chinese noticed all this. And this became calisthenics, all this Tai Chi and so on. Right? Very similar principles. You know, there's a lot of sharing and plagiarizing between Taoism and Buddhism. Buddhism got Kuan Yin, the Taoists also adopted Kuan Yin. The Buddhists got the wooden fish and Taoism took up. So they find it's helpful. So there was a lot of sharing. Okay? While looking forward or looking back is clearly aware. In other words, you know what you're doing. While bending or stretching is clearly aware of what he's doing. So next time you do your Pilates, your body training exercise, you can do your meditation at the same time by being aware of what's going on. Okay? Even if you're running marathons, when you run mindfully. Choose one of the regular actions. For example, as you're stepping on the ground, you can feel, you can reflect on that. Or you can feel the breeze passing, reflect on that. Choose one object. Okay, you can slowly switch around. You are doing it mindfully. And then you find your energy is steady. While carrying his outer robe and bowl, he's clearly aware of what he's doing. In other words, when you're putting on your clothes, when you are working, be mindful. You know, one of the secrets of long sustained work is this practice. It's one point I didn't mention to you. You know, sometimes I work long hours on the computer. You know, this volume is, I'm working on volume 47 now, okay, over 11 years. If you tell someone working with the suttas for 11 years, it's worse than listening to suttas for 11 years, you know. Sitting here listening to suttas. How did you do it, they will say, you know. Well, the answer is very simple. It's fun. It's fun. That's why we do it. If it's not fun, you won't do it, you know. How to make it fun. This is the secret. You know, when I look at my computer as I'm working, I never cease to be amazed how easily the words just appear. Of course, some of the words don't appear quickly, the machine is slow, but that's not my fault, or not even the machine's fault. It's always conditions, you know. But usually it works very well. Oh, the words, the Dharma words, so clear in front of us. Not 30 years ago, I have to look all over the place for it. And I just need to just type the keyboard, and then I get all this information, put information on the screen. That is amazing. So you reflect on that, you feel good. We always forget the basics, you know. We like to think of something bigger, something better, and we get lost with the present. And I told myself, wow, look at all these wonderful teachings, you know. If only these people know these wonderful teachings, they won't be learning all these unnecessary things and get into all kinds of problems, you know. These simple things make you happy, right? So here you are. Whatever you're doing, be mindful of it. Number 4, while carrying is while eating, drinking, chewing, tasting, he is clearly aware of what he's doing, right? We tend to just consume food, you know. We ingest, this is a fantastic word, ingest food. That means you don't think, you know, you just swallow. Might as well just have a tube and put it in. You know, I mean, we want to enjoy it, right? When you're sick, you go for operation, put a tube and they feed you. You know the feeling, you know, you don't know whether you're full or not. But the act of eating, you chew. You know, some Western philosophers, meditators, they're very good innovating. So they teach children to do simple meditation. They give this child a raisin, you know? Raisins. Okay, now you need to chew this raisin mindfully. Every bite you feel what's going on, right? So it's the beginning of awareness. Actually, the children who start like that in preschool, they're very lucky actually. Very, very fortunate to learn all this mindfulness practice. So next time you eat, enjoy your food. Enjoy, that means put joy into it. That's the meaning. And then you find you eat less also. Now, I like to say, actually for us, average, I go to the hawker center, I counted one day mindfully, how many spoons do I need one thing? About 20, 25 spoonfuls. That's enough for us. No bit of rice. The one you pay a few dollars for that mixed rice, you know? About 20 spoonfuls. Of course, for monks, 1 meal a day, maybe we say double it, say, you know, maybe 40 spoonfuls, right? But even then, chew mindfully, and you find that is meditation, right? Be aware of it. When you're drinking, okay? When you're chewing, when you're tasting, just be aware of that. That is Satipatthana. And look at the next one, number 6. While voiding or peeing, some translators say defecating and urinating. I try to use simple English. So even in the toilet also be mindful. Right? In other words, every moment in your life can be used for meditation. While walking, standing, sitting, asleep, awake, talking, or remaining silent, mindful. So this is called clear awareness. Now, there is something interesting here. You see, all this, you might say all these are possible, but what about number 7? Asleep, awake. How do you become mindful when you're asleep, awake? This is not falling asleep, waking up. It says asleep, awake, you know. Because if you look at note 34, it's mentioned there. Now this is for advanced meditators. advanced meditators or high levels. In other words, when they get up, then they reflect on how they slept. Because while you're sleeping, you can't. There's no mindfulness. Okay? So, asleep, awake, and it's a superpower kind of reflection. They see how they slept, whether they dream or not, and how they awake. Basically, they're mindful. You know? So you find if you go for meditation, you regularly do meditation, the way you sleep also very peaceful, like the Buddha. However, here I like to simplify this in terms of the 11 benefits of loving kindness. The 11 benefits of loving kindness. 2 of which are very important to us. Sleep happily, wake happily. I think sleep happily, wake happily also has a reflection on this teaching here. In other words, you want to meditate, so sleep happily, so the meditator reflects on the happy sleeping. But I find this very helpful for counseling. I tell my clients and students, I'm telling you, sleep happily, wake happily. You want to meditate properly, you want to live as a happy person, remember this basic rule. Sleep happily, wake happily. No matter what happens in your life, good business, bad business, good relationship, bad relationship, whatever, when you go to sleep, it is as sacred as doing puja or meditating. As you're lying down to sleep, you've got to sleep happily. Because if you don't, then you won't be happy. You're habitually not telling yourself to be happy. So, as you lie down, you go to sleep, your body is shutting down. The last one to shut down is your mind. Some study experts tell you, if you want to remember something important, read that as the last thing before you go to sleep. You're more likely to remember it. Now, if you apply this principle, whatever you tell yourself, the last thing you tell yourself before you go to sleep, you're going to remember that. Can you imagine you start thinking all the negative things about the world, you start cursing all the people you know, and you hate your family, and you go to sleep. Wow, that's terrible, you know? That's bad. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Don't do that. You know, those people who suddenly kill themselves, the suicidal people, they tend to think like this. So, I mean, people, normal people, happy people won't do that, you know? It's because they start conditioning themselves until they find there's nothing to live for. So it seems. So we do the opposite, happy thoughts. As you're laying down, going to sleep, happy thoughts. May I be well, may I be happy. Family, be well, happy. My pets, be well and happy. You fall asleep. Habitually you do that. And you find somehow your life quality will improve. Someone, occasionally I get this feedback, they say, you know, suddenly they have this sense of fear seem to strike inside them. This funny feeling, something is not right. I say, well, do this, sleep happily, wake happily thing. You wake up suddenly in the middle of the night, go into the same sequence. Okay? So you're training yourself to feel happy, to think happy. Happiness is a feeling, not thinking. You must feel. Feel means direct experience of what's going on now. Right now I'm going to go to sleep, it's so peaceful. So feel that peacefulness. You're not going to say, if you ask yourself, is this peaceful or not? You're only asking a question. Of course, obviously it's not peaceful when you're asking the question. Feel it. This is peaceful. And that is meditation. That's why we say meditation is not thinking. Because thinking you ask, is this like that? Is that like that? You're talking, you know? Whereas in meditation, you feel it directly. This is what I'm doing. Feel it directly. You don't even need to say, this is what I'm doing. You directly experience it. So that's the meaning here. Huh? Any questions on this? Yeah?
Not there. It's not the before. The reference the last line, 13.1 bracket 3.6b. It should be 3.6.2.
Correct, yeah. Just correct. Because it's the whole star. You see B it is 2, A it is 1, so just say 0.2. Yeah? It's correct. You got to just check through again for all this. Yeah? Any other question to us? Yes?
So, meanings here.
What section is that?
Page 129.
Okay.
Satipatthana refrain, number 7. This is observing the body in the body internally, the body in the body externally, and the body in the body both internally and externally.
Yes. What is it? All right. Yeah, that's in fact what I'm going to come to next. We're going to, the notes are here. Let me see. Okay, page 34. The notes are there. Okay, we're going to come to that section now. So in other words, once you reflect, let's say you are mindful, you do all these things mindfully, and then the sutta says, in fact, after every practice of meditation, there is this reminder. Okay? So he dwells observing the body and the body internally. Internally means your own body. So take breath meditation for example. You are watching your breath coming in, going out, coming in, going out. This is called internally. And then while you're meditating, someone next to you is also breathing in, out, very loud, And so if you're not trained to get distracted, say, why this person breathes so loudly? You feel like telling him, No, you don't do that. But this one, then you observe that meditation. In fact, to make it more effective, you synchronize your breath also to the way this person is breathing. And then you find you do not get upset with his breathing, because being upset is just a part. So you follow his breathing, or you don't have to do that, you can just mentally use his breath as the object. So you follow his breath, in, and after a while you find you're peaceful. No more trouble, you go back to your meditation. So when you use the external source or the external object, this is the one, externally. And then internally, externally is where you alternate. You can't do both together, it's alternate. You watch your breath, very peaceful, and then you switch to this person next to you. Maybe he's snoring, suddenly you fall asleep in meditation, especially big groups. So this is one meaning. Another meaning, a deeper meaning now is this. You watch your breath, okay, out, in, out. And then you reflect on the next person's breath, in, out. So now what you may have noticed is that actually it's no more my breath, your breath. There is just breathing. So here you have let go of the I. You let go of the self. You see? So this one's a bit higher. You just know there is breathing. And this breathing is a process. So impermanent. Changing all the time like that. So there's no difference between my breathing, your breathing. It's just breathing. And once you think like that, you're not troubled by other people. In fact, if you're happy, you say, it's good, these people, they're breathing, so they're all alive, And you're meditating, you feel joyful. And joy will arise in you. Once joy arises, you don't do anything. Okay? Everything stops. Okay? You just enjoy. Don't do anything. Okay? I once got a very interesting response. This person said, suddenly I felt so peaceful. I got so scared. Then I opened my eyes and woke up. But I stood up. I said, don't do that next time. You should be continuing with the peace, So this, without instructions, then you get all these blessings and you let it go. And you might not get it again for a long time. That's why studying suttas, listen to talks, it's important. Any other questions? And then next line. So fourth line. Or he dwells observing states that arise in the body. Or he dwells observing states that fall away in the body. Or he dwells observing states that arise and fall away in the body. So here you have sets of 3 lines. This next one is one set. So here you see rising and falling. This is basic perception of impermanence. Even in the Anguttara, in the Digajana Sutta, for example, in the accomplishment of wisdom, the Buddha defines it as for lay people, teaching for lay people. He says you watch the rise and fall of events. Take for example, pain. You are sitting down meditating and you feel a numbness, in your leg. So you can watch how the numbness arises. You watch arising and then no more trouble. Go back to your meditation. Or sometimes you watch the numbness ending, the numbness going away. But usually we'll watch it as rising, peaking, passing away. Rising, pain is like that. Interesting. Pain is not like a lump. If it's a lump, you won't feel the pain. The pain comes and goes, comes and goes. That's why the difference, it makes a difference. Very interesting way of saying it. Pain makes a difference, because if there's no difference, you don't experience the pain. You experience the pain because of pleasure. The more strong your perception of pleasure is, the stronger the pain is. It contrasts each other. That's why some people, you find some hard workers, they don't seem to be troubled by pain. You know? High threshold of pain. But we feel very painful. Right? So in meditation, you observe it. You begin to notice pain for what it is, then you're not troubled by it. This is the meaning of the statement of the little mantra the Buddha taught, Nakoda Pita. My body may be sick, let not my mind be sick. It's natural for the body to feel pain. The body feels pain because the body is physical, 4 elements. But the mind can let go of the pain. The mind can also make the pain bigger if you're not wise. So the mind can also reduce the pain. That's the meaning here. Yeah? And or else, it maintains the mindfulness. There is a body, or this is a body, merely for knowing and awareness. So when we say body, it's just a convention to refer to this 5 idiots. So once you talk like that, without attachment, the next line says, and he dwells independent, not clinging to anything in this world. Independent. We are not dependent on things outside of us to be happy. You notice some people, they must have a lot of friends. Not only friends, important friends, big shot friends, rich friends, go to parties, socialize. You don't get invitation, they feel depressed. So the happiness is dependent on something outside of them. But a monk living alone in the forest is not dependent on anyone, except morning goes around, collects some simple food and eats it. A monk is, properly speaking, economically dependent. He depends on you for basic stuff, food, robe, shelter, medicine. Even then, another monk can, like robes, he can just pick up all these pieces of rag and stitch them together, make a robe. But food still comes for the people get the food. But otherwise, the monk is not emotionally dependent on anyone else. And this is very important. Emotional independence means true mental health. Your happiness is not dependent on anyone or anything. If it's dependent on anyone or anything, you have put your happiness outside of it. People can manipulate you. They can remove the object of happiness, and then your happiness is gone. This is independent happiness, means true meditative happiness. You are simply happy. No way of explaining this, except maybe you say through meditation. You don't need anything to be happy. The happiness of renunciation, Nikkamasita Sukha, the happiness of renunciation. The other happiness is called worldly renunciation. There is such a thing called worldly renunciation. These people, they didn't really renounce properly. There is worldly happiness. Okay, worldly happiness. So in other words here, if you are happy through meditation, no matter what happens around you, you are at peace with yourself. You are at peace with yourself. Okay? And then the last line says, and that bhikshu is how a monk dwells observing body in the body. You have the same words for observing feeling in feelings, mind in mind, and the dharmas in dharmas also. So this is called the vipassana. There's a bit of vipassana here, if you like. But the proper term is satipatthana refrain. Refrain means they keep repeating themselves in these words. Any questions here? Clear enough? So you know the meaning internal, external? Yeah, now? Fair enough.
But if you are meditating alone, then
Yeah, then you don't have to do this. That's okay. Of course, you can still reflect, you just say, the second explanation I gave you, that's for meditating alone. So after a while you realize, oh, there is just this breath. There is no I behind this breath. So it is not no more yours, so to speak. There is just this breath. Well, I've almost covered the things I have to tell you. Then there is something about, sometimes you talk about feelings. You see, okay, breathing you can detect, but feelings, how are you going to know this other person has sad feeling or happy feeling? You won't know. So it's a bit tricky. So this is where the commentators and teachers say you observe. Because when you're meditating, you look at people also. Although we are mindful, try not to look at people, but occasionally you still have to look at people. You can see through your observing of them, because your mind is so clear in meditation, you can notice or feel people are happy or not happy. You don't need to go to deep meditation. If you're a good counselor, you can sense all this. You know somebody is happy or not happy. I mean, if you're a good parent, you can sense it also. Your child happy or not happy. If you're an observant person, if you have a close friend, you can observe whether this other person is happy or not happy. Right? So you use this knowledge. Instead of getting upset, you use this Satipatthana training. Right? So you observe, you say, okay, this feeling arising, passing away, is impermanent, you reflect like that. Okay? So just observe it, let it go. Of course, in daily life, this observation is useful. Then you know what to do. You can ask this person, how are you feeling? How can I help you? Then you become more engaged in daily life. So don't think that meditation is always disengagement. That's one aspect. You must disengage. It's just like when you repair your car, you want to overhaul your car, you got to shut down the engine. That is disengagement. Otherwise dangerous. You totally disengage the engine, and then you take it out again. Then you put it back. And then when you engage the engine, wow, very nice. So before you can really engage with the world, you must disengage from it. The next week, I'll be in KL attending the International Engaged Buddhist Conference. International Network of Engaged Buddhists, INEP. They've been going on for, I think, 30, 40 years, this organization. So now they say, why don't you come back? So long we didn't see. I said, okay, I don't like conferences, but so they're old friends. They say, you better come. Your friends are really old now. I said, okay, let's go and see how old are they. All right. So engagement must be seen in the proper context. Engagement means compassion. Engage with compassion. Compassion is wisdom expressed. When wisdom is expressed, it's compassion. Because without wisdom, there cannot be compassion. Okay? So, because compassion is kindness shown to others even when we don't deserve it. Right? Very often people, when they help others, they always wonder, what do I get from this? Right? But here, of course, it also means when you give, you don't destroy this person. For example, a drug addict comes and says, I need money, and then you simply give. Then you're not helping this person. It's not compassion. Right? So, these are things we need to reflect. Okay, internally, externally. So, in other words, we're talking about mind reading here. There comes a point where you're so focused, you more or less are able to read someone's mind, especially if you do meditation. This is useful because it helps you to interact with people, come to their level, so to speak. And in your meditation, you reflect on this. So you don't get too upset with people when they're negative. You know how to deal with it in other ways. So all these are very useful skills for counselors, for married people, for people in business, for anyone living with others. In fact, where mind reading is concerned, the Buddha says in one of the suttas, if you do not have the power of mind reading, at least you should know how to read your own mind. Make sure you know how to read your own mind. That means meditation. To read your own mind means what? Number one, accept your mind for what it is. This is the first noble truth. If your mind is negative, accept it so. Do not cheat yourself and deny it. Okay? Number two, ask yourself, how did this negative mind arise? What are the conditions? Second noble truth. And third noble truth, how to get out of it. The opposite, positive qualities. And then the fourth noble truth, put into practice. Put into practice. Right? These are the four noble truths applied to understanding our minds. Okay? Now all these are given you this in detail here. These notes you can read up from the starting page until about page 40, page 45 like that. So once again, when you are doing your practice of Satipatthana, sometimes you get stuck. When you do your meditation, sometimes you seem to get stuck. Nothing seems to be working. Then you follow the rule of variety. Vary your meditation. Switch to loving kindness. This is where sometimes you hear some of the so-called Vipassana school, but nowadays they're a bit more relaxed. They like to tell you, don't do loving kindness. It's a Brahmin thing. You get attached to it. Now, this is very wrong, because it's not found in the sutras. No such teaching in the sutras. On the contrary, the Buddha talks about the importance of loving kindness. So much so the Buddha says, even if a monk or meditator does loving kindness for 1 little second, as long as it takes to milk a cow, one pool, and milk comes out, you have practiced his teaching. Loving kindness helps to smoothen your meditation when you find it difficult, especially when doing Satipatthana. In fact, you can start your meditation with a happy thought, if you like. Okay, remember some very happy event in your life. Maybe you traveled to a beautiful place, this mountainside, this seaside or garden, or some people you met and you were very happy, or a place you went to was very peaceful, and you recall it. Feel again all the joy and peace. And once you feel very peaceful, let go of all those thoughts. Go into your meditation. Okay, so start with joy, peace, happiness. Yes.
So you mentioned about observing, and then you mentioned also feel. So, but when you're supposed to observe, what do you mean by then feel? So once you feel, is it that you are doing?
They kind of overlap. They kind of overlap at some point. Remember, I told you a feeling in Buddhism is to experience directly, right? But when you say observe, anupassana, that means you watch without doing anything else. So you don't, but there's nothing happening, the joy isn't arisen. So you just watch first. So in a sense, you might say you must anupassati first. You must observe first. Take for example, breath. Now this is where this kind of words, it's better to see them in context. Because if you just want to discuss dictionary style, it's not very helpful. Too, what they call that, theoretical, abstract. Okay, take breath for example. When you're starting to do your breath meditation, you watch the breath, relax, breathe in, the breath comes in, goes out. You keep your mind on the breath. The first thing you must do is make sure the mind is there on the breath. That's called body in the body. The body is the breath. Your mind is there. But after a while, the mind thinks about it. Say, what am I to do after this? Say, oops, bring it back. Okay? That's anupassana. Keep bringing the mind back there. Okay? The overall word here is patisamvedeti, to experience. But then it's too broad, so no point using it. So use anupassati. We'll go on observing this breath. Observe, observe. Once you go on observing, it's like you have this little puppy, At first very wild, run here, very happy, So you first have to catch it, and then you put a little collar and put a a chain, a cord, a very comfortable cord, extendable, and you take this puppy for a walk. And after a while, this puppy gets used to it and become more disciplined. Alright? So you can just hold the cord. And there comes a time when this puppy is so obedient, you don't need a cord also. That's higher level already. Right? So when you meditate, you need to keep on bringing your mind back. Keep on bringing your mind back to the breath. That's like catching the puppy and putting the leash on him or her. So after a while, you keep on watching the breath becomes so natural, and you find the breath also slowing down. Other thoughts don't trouble you. You and the breath become one, as it were. No more you watching the breath. You are the breath, so to speak. And you feel, that's when you feel peaceful. The peacefulness comes with the unification of observer and observed. That's the meaning of it. You become one with the breath. Okay? So it's just a matter of how words are used to show the sequence. Right? Actually what's happening is in meditation all this happens nice and smooth. It's when you talk about it, you want to use the right words. Any other questions? In fact, it's just nice. We managed to finish in about 6 more minutes. So we have talked about the Satipatthana refrain. Then we go into more details in the next round. We are hardly halfway through your sutta. Any questions? General questions also are welcome.
Have you covered the mind objects already? Mind
What is that?
Dharma.
No, yeah, that's the last. That's the last. So we're still talking about okay, let me just bring back to the sutta so that you know where we are. Look at page 126 again. So let's do a quick run through. Now, look at section 1. Thus have I heard. At one time, the Blessed One was staying among the Kurus. The Kurus were very wise people, healthy, so they are ready for such deep teachings. There was a market town with the Kurus called Kamasa Dhamma. That means the Buddha didn't live there, you see. The Buddha lived outside, that kind of. The place is very busy, so Buddha wouldn't stay there. There, the Blessed One addressed the monks. So the teaching was given there, but the Buddha resided elsewhere. Bhikshus, although Buddha taught the monks, there were a lot of Kurus, the Kuru people were there. And Bhante, the monks responded, answered the Blessed One in assent. The Blessed One said this, Bhikshus, this is the path for the one going, or the path where one goes by oneself, ekayana. For the purification of beings. Okay, this Buddha is talking about Satipatthana. You purify your body and mind, in other words. For the overcoming of sorrow and lamentation. For the disappearance of pain and displeasure. Pain is physical, displeasure is mental. For the gaining of the right way. Whenever you see the word right way, it means the four path. The right way. Nyaya. For realizing nirvana, that's the final goal. That is to say, the four focuses of mindfulness. Right? So this is the definition of mindfulness. Notice, practice mindfulness for happiness. What are the four? Here bhikshus among dwells exertive, clearly aware, mind observing or watching the body in the body, removing covetousness and displeasure or discontent in regard to the world. And the same thing, observing feelings in feelings, observing the mind in the mind, observing dharmas in the dharmas. So we only covered this number 2. Number 2. And then we talked a bit about number 3. Alright? Today we finish up to that. So we go on to the next section after this. Right? We go on to observing the body, dharma-based. So, dharma-based, watching the body, all the different kinds of body meditation. That's our next study in the syllabus. Okay?
So the body in the body is covered.
Introduction, just introduction. The next time we go into the different kinds. We'll talk about breath meditation. We'll talk a bit more about the parts of the body. There are other meditation like the 4 elements and so on. Okay?
Can I ask you about the body?
Sure.
When you are contemplating the body, hairs of the head, hairs of the body, nails, teeth, I once attended a talk, and the teacher said, with the eyes closed, he can see all this thing happening in the.
Oh, well, you can visualize if you like. So you start off by, all these things don't come suddenly, you see, because when they do it for so many years, it's easier to picture.
So do the meditator really see his kidney?
No,
His stomach?
not in a real sense, because some teachers like to say a few things that you gain faith in them. And but sometimes we feel a little bit put off because you can't, so you get a little lost. You got to be very careful not to feel lost. Because some teachers they like to talk that way. I don't think it's very helpful, whether it's real or not. Because sometimes in the public talk, it's not so wise to talk like that. Because some people may have wrong understanding, think, wow, superpower, Yeah. Of course, some people may or may not be able to see internally in their body. Of course, if you're doing, let's say, you're a medical student, you can notice. Another way, of course, is to be aware of the parts of the body. All right, but that's not the real thing, So if you can see your kidney inside there, so what's the big deal? Maybe nothing happens after that. So it's not useful, right? Remember, the purpose of this is what? Reflection and impermanence. Let's go back to what you mentioned, the first, the skin 5, the skin pentac, that's what you mentioned. Head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin. This is the first meditation all the monks learn when you become monks. So what am I really? All I am is head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin. This is earth element. Earth element. Earth element. This is internal earth element. There is this external earth element. Okay? Internal earth element, external earth element, they are the same earth element. They are impermanent. Or in the Maharahula Sutta, I don't own these things. There is no self, no I. Okay? So you reflect like that. So it's not, don't highlight, oh, I can see my kidney and say, wow, this teacher already can see his kidney, can see his pancreas, etc., etc. Okay, that's fine. Probably was a medical student before, which is fine. But the idea is not just the seeing of it, but it's what happens after you see it. Reflection on oneself, at least on impermanence. But don't be discouraged with what you can't do. Rather, practice what you can do in terms of the 3 characteristics. Anicca, dukkha, anatta. Or just anicca also enough, impermanence.
So this reflection is basically the same as there's one sitting where I say the chair. We've broken up the legs, the chair just works.
Yes, correct. Another thing, you must also look at yourself. Do I need this meditation or not? Is this meditation helping me or not? Because some meditation are not necessary. 4 elements is helpful if you are attached to your body. 4 elements meditation is also helpful to prevent fear from arising when you fall sick or in face of impending death, for example. That may help because you understand the nature of the body. Right? Loving kindness. We must always close all this kind of practice with loving kindness, so that you don't have any negative thoughts about these things, especially if you're a beginner. Okay? Any other question? Okay, now we end here. This is time already. So we have stopped. Just remember, we're going to go into Kaya-Vipassana next round. In the 2nd week of the next month, November. Right, let us do a short reflection now. We have been studying the Satipatthana Sutta, reflecting on meditation. This is a very wonderful way of learning the Buddha's teachings, to put them into practice. That's how we preserve the Buddha's teaching. Now, as we practice meditation, we discover more and more about ourselves. Buddhism is about self-discovery. Some of the things we see might not be very flattering, yet that is the truth we must face. We face it with loving kindness, with compassion, accepting ourselves just as we are. When we accept ourselves just as we are, then we go on to show compassion, loving kindness to ourselves, and that's how we begin to improve. Showing love, loving kindness, accepting ourselves just as we are, and then looking deeper and begin to see there are good qualities hidden by these negative qualities. This is one of the wonderful things that meditation teach us, show us. And then we are empowered with joy. We feel joyful and peaceful. And we are able to help others also. Reflecting in this way is a very wonderful good karma. By the power of such good karma, may we be well and happy in this life itself. May we meditate with good focus and peace and joy. By all this goodness, may we attain spiritual liberation in this life itself, especially street women. In this moment of peace, let us send out our loving kindness to all the people who are working here, to all the devas and beings inhabiting this area, and also to all our relatives. May they be well, may they be happy, to all our friends. And to those whom the Dharma have not touched, may they come closer to the Dharma and be well and happy too. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.